Hello, and welcome to another episode of Adventures in Movies. My name is Nathaniel Muir, and I am the movie editor at AIPT. Joining me on these ongoing adventures is a longtime subscriber to the Democratic Whatever.
Hi, I am Danny, and this is my United States of whatever.
Also joining us on these ongoing adventures is the guy in the Carrie shirt. Sorry.
I'm just a guy named Blake. Thanks.
So, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Pretty good.
Doing more awesome now that we're doing a live show.
Yeah. I got a haircut just for this.
It's October, 31 days of Halloween. And listen through to the entire show because we have an awesome giveaway. Later on in the show, we'll tell you what it is we're giving away and how it is you can enter. But it's pretty awesome. We have some movie news, some big movie news this week. So lots of delays. Blake, one of the big ones, one we were looking forward to. Looks like we're not going to be able to see it for a while.
An entire year, Dune, delayed October of 2021, right? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah.
Disappointed.
Okay, so was this going to be the movie that was actually going to make you go to the theaters, or were you going to be like
probably? Yeah, I would have covered myself in Purell like Frank Reynolds in that one episode of Sun. And braved the theater, I think, for that one. So yeah, I'm pretty disappointed. I've been waiting for that for a long time. I mean, we've been talking about that for a while. So,
it was nearing the end of production, right? I mean, it had to have been if it was coming out in December.
I would assume so. Yeah, I would think that thing's pretty much buttoned up, except for probably like special effects and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that gives them a year to. I mean, they're probably not going to do too much work on it. So that's pretty much a year to market it, get the word out, get people really wanting it. So, do you think come October that more people will see it then than they would have this year?
I mean, this is like maybe a naive pie in the sky kind of hope, but I would hope things are a little bit different a year from now, as far as all the COVID and all the precautions and maybe possibly there would be a vaccine type situation. So yeah, I think this is 100% a money move. It has very little to do with production in any way. This is, hey, we need to really make this project that we've been banking on for years pay out. And I think that's the motivation here. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me at all. I thought it was going to get delayed until next year. I just thought it was going to get like March, something like that. This sucks. I think it sucks.
See, I don't know if it really. Okay, so it does suck. I think it was going to be one of those the movie that was going to make me go to the theaters. I feel
it's going to be a super spreader event. Come on, we needed it.
Yeah. I feel like it's the smart thing. I mean, we've seen it with big blockbusters. Marvel has done it, or Disney. I'm sorry, has done it with a lot of their movies. Warner Brothers. This is a Warner Brothers movie, though, right?
Legendary Pictures, is that Warner Brothers?
I think. Yeah. So I mean, it. I don't know. It feels like it is a smart thing, pushing it. I don't know. Almost a year later, I feel in October where there's going to be a lot of horror things. I feel like they kind of took the misstep. I think I'd rather have seen a hard sci-fi in December, kind of like what we've been doing lately with maybe Star Wars. That's what we've been seeing, or even Ad Astra. They came out I think last year. I think I would have wanted something like that because I think also Dune takes over the Batman times or dates as well.
Oh yeah.
Well, the Batman, there's delays on that, and I'm just throwing it out there now. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see that possibly ever. It's going to be
the New Mutants.
It's going to be that kind of. I mean, it's been rattled with problems for the longest time now.
Really? So you think more than normal? Like more than a normal flick?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And then there's been stories of just on the set problems, the normal on the set problems, but then they've had the things with COVID.
Christian Bale showed up and started fucking yelling at everybody.
Yeah, Jared Leto took a shit in someone's trailer and all that stuff. But no, I wouldn't be surprised if it's constantly delayed to New Mutant style. I mean, I think that can definitely happen. So do you think, Danny, they should have held steady to the? I know you said it was a smarter decision, but you also said that end of the year, December seems like a sci-fi year. You think they should have pushed it till December of 2021?
Yeah, give us a full year. I mean, I think it's just, I don't know. I think I like that date more than I like October. We do see a lot more horror films during this time, so I feel like it's not in theme, I guess. Does that make sense?
Man,
No, well,
I was
October,
thinking,
yeah.
like, there's gonna be like 100% more Dune cosplay at the theater, though. If
That is also very true. That is also
October is a dump month, and like horror is always in January. But so here's the question then in regards to that: like, if they keep delaying movies, and we've seen it with Bond, I imagine we're going to see it with Wonder Woman 84. Jurassic Park World has been pushed back to 2022. There does come a point where it's like, okay, all the movies have been delayed there's not going to be any room to show any of these movies. So I think eventually they're going to have to bite the bullet and release some stuff. Now, I can understand Blake is right. Dune is a major release. Like, I know a few weeks ago I said that I think it has a good chance of flopping, but I'm not going to hedge my bets on it. I do think it has a better chance than most of flopping, but it also has a good chance of making like buku bucks. So, and if you release it this year, it ain't making the money. It ain't making a third of the money it could make if they release it.
they're edging.
No, and
They're edging.
they,
I feel like
it's a good idea.
It's a throwaway year a lot of the times. Like, yeah, there's a lot of movies that made success because we need it, but I don't think, it's a smart decision. Financially, I don't think it's a smart move.
Well, it's all about financials. I mean, it's completely about financials. Like we've seen it with Tenet you brought up a few weeks ago, whether it was a flop or not. And it's like, well, what's your definition of a flop type of thing? And it's going to lose money because of what's going on financially. It's most definitely the smart thing to do. I think Tenet made $350 million, and it was earmarked to make $700 million. Yeah. So yeah, like financially, it's a very wise decision.
Well, I mean, you see a lot of like theaters like well, not a lot of theaters, but you have like AMC now. You have Regal, like that's saying like, hey, we're actually like, I think we're done after this, and they're like nobody's going to like. That makes it seem like nobody's going to the theaters. I know between us three, we haven't gone to the theaters, and Dune made it.
Not that kind of.
Yeah.
I'll expand on that. I don't know anybody who's gone to the theaters.
I know one person.
I know one person.
No.
I don't know anybody who's gone to the theaters. I've not heard anyone say that I want to.
He may or may not be in chat right now, actually.
And honestly, I was saying that I don't think that Dune was the movie that would have made me as awesome as it looked. Like I'm just I just don't want to be around people like so. Not right now. And I mean, it may well have been because that one trailer they recently released was awesome. So I mean, it may well be. And come October, like Blake said, hopefully, like pie in the sky. That like not only will I be willing to go to theaters, I'll go on a daily basis to the theaters. But yeah, holding it off. Honestly, I don't really. Whether they release it in October or they release it in December of next year, I mean, it's kind of the same to me. I think it would make the same amount of money because. So yeah, October is Halloween, but I mean, I don't think if a person wants to see a movie, they'll think to themselves like, "Man, it's October. I wish they did this in December, so I'm not gonna go." Like, if they really want to see a movie,
I'm that person. No, but you're right. If they want, see, there's Ricky right there in chat. But no, I do feel like I do feel like it is the. It's just I guess a vibe, a mood. I'm sorry, I'm 35 years old for saying that. But it's just a thing. Like I feel like during this time, I do watch more horror specific things, and I do tend to be more even like I think what was it last year? It came out in September, and it was still a thing that we did.
It was too hot for it.
A lot of things were too hot for it, but we saw like that's where we saw shit. Now I can't remember Suspiria, and a lot of like the movies that we're talking about during the end of the year, like those were, or that was like the combination of the month and the movies that were coming out. I feel like October does play a huge part on setting the mood.
Right. Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, there's 31 days of Halloween. What we do for the site, what we're doing on the show, and just in general, it's Halloween time. We're all in the mood for it, so that definitely plays into it. So we've mentioned Regal Cinema a couple of times, and for those who don't know or aren't aware of Regal Cinema, they're the second largest, right, ahead of AMC, behind Cinemark, or vice versa. They recently shut down 536 locations, all their locations in the United States.
Whoa.
They say they're reopening, but they've given no timetable as to when that's going to be. So, one, I mean, we've kind of thrown out some numbers here, but we're not financial guys. We don't know where this is going, obviously, in regards to COVID. But do you guys think that this theater chain is going to reopen? And do you think another major chain is going to go down?
I do think another chain might go down after this. I mean, AMC, as much we made fun of it throughout this whole year, they're going to survive. They're surviving somehow. I feel Cinemark, Alamo, even though Alamo is like one of the smaller theater chains out there, I do feel it might survive.
I think it will. It has all the fests and Mondo and all that stuff. It has a very passionate fan base.
Yeah, it has a fan base. I don't know if Cinemark or like Hawkins or whatever it's Harkins out in like in the other side of the Southwest in Arizona, like if they will survive something like that. I feel like we are in this weird. Well, obviously we're in a new normal, right? Like we don't know what's gonna like survive or not. And I think like the smaller tiered theaters are going to be closing down like faster than we think.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like the moms and the generational ones. That's kind of sad. Here's a bold prediction for you guys. Here's what I think: theaters aren't going away ever. Like, I'm not one of those like from Hollywood who are they're a part of human like American life. I don't know about all that, but they're not going away. I think we're seeing that with Mulan being the most recent example. Like people prefer to see that stuff in theaters. But here is what's going to happen: they are going to close down. Like AMC, they might go. I mean, they've said they can't survive much longer. Cinemark might go, but come next summer or fall or whenever the vaccine comes out, some investor will go in and they will pick up those theaters because those theaters aren't being converted into department stores. Theaters will be back. I guarantee it. That's my prediction.
Bring back
another one will fall.
Bring back the big smut houses. What I say.
Bring back drive-ins, man. That's awesome.
I want like 1977 Times Square action.
Yes, the era of STDs, the beginning of AIDS. That's exactly
like the late 90s.
Well, true. Something Ricky said in chat, actually, I agree with. Like, I think so he says Flick's Brewhouse. So I don't know if people are familiar with those all around the country. Those are like, there's a brewery inside those places. So they actually manufacture beer inside. And there's literally one a mile down the street from me that I don't know has been open all year. Like since I don't think they've been doing anything. And so I think, I think the places with the big overhead like that, I think that's who's going to be in trouble, But it remains to be seen. We'll see.
Yeah. I think that, definitely, like Danny said, the smaller ones are, I mean, they're pretty much dead. They're dead in the water. I think another major one is going to go down. Like, and I don't think it's going to be like Regal saying like, we're going to be open.
Cinemark.
We just don't know when. I think Cinemark, they're great. I think they are going to straight up say we are closing down. And then when a vaccine comes out, I think some investor will come in, pick it up because those places aren't being changed over. I mean, it's not. I don't know. I'm not a developer, but I would have to imagine it's not easy to transform a big old theater into a Dillard's. I mean, that's my.
Wait,
my
are there still Dillards?
There is.
There you go. That makes it even more difficult.
I just want to say that like the theater that was inside Cielo Vista Mall, it's a retail thing.
Oh,
tiny. You're talking about a little
four screens.
3 screens. It was a 3-screen little tiny place. I'm
there was the
talking
one
about
on
a
Yarbrough.
big ass theater with 82 screens in it.
Yeah. Well, and so Alamo Drafthouse was just made the news here. They're like, hey, El Paso, like the one in the far east El Paso, still on track. Like, get ready.
That shit's like a mile away from where I live, and that is
that's right.
massive.
Yeah,
That's
it's a big one.
thing.
I don't know. It's crazy. Like I mean, as a person who's like trying to open a business in the midst of a pandemic, I have to I don't know how anybody has I mean, we're just doing it because we're crazy and maybe real idiots. But they already have money. Like they don't have to do that kind of stuff. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're trying to run a business here, and you're trying to make the smartest decisions. And right now, I don't know if you guys seen the meme, but it's like on the artist side, the world's burning, and there's like Will Ferrell yelling out like, "Hey, does anybody want to buy art?" That's like people like saying like, "Hey, does anybody want to go see a movie right now?" That's what's happening.
They do. They're just gonna have to wait a while. As a reminder to everyone who's listening, we have a really, really awesome giveaway that we have. Stay tuned. We'll let you know what it is. It's really cool. No joke. Sincerely, it's awesome. And we'll let you know how you can enter that giveaway. This week on What You Need to Know, Danny, you wanted to talk about, who did you want to talk about?
Who did I want to talk about? Oh, actually, so I started watching Invisible Man, and I started it because I couldn't finish, because having a baby is a pain in the butt sometimes, because you can't watch films that you really want to watch. But Elizabeth Moss's character gave me this idea, like, why do we root for the final girl? Even though spoiler alert, she's not a final girl, but it made it seem like she was gonna be one, or the movie played it that way. But yeah, like, why do we root for the final girl?
Well, if that's not a rhetorical question, the reason that we root for her is because they're the hero, and we're supposed to. They're sympathetic. They're the underdog. They have the secret to beat the big villain. I think the real question is the final girl overrated? Have they been? I
wrote an article about it.
I haven't written an article about it. I thought about writing an article about it. I think. Obviously, the final girl is the hero, right? So if the question is, why do we root for the hero? Why have we ever rooted for heroes? Because they're meant to be rooted for. The real question is, are they overrated? I think. Now, horror in general has always been ahead of the curve in regards to its treatment of women. Gather the vixens and the vamps and stuff like that. But in regards to putting them in positions of power where they were ahead, and I'm not talking about like the I Spit on Your Grave rape revenge fantasies where they claimed it was about women empowerment, but it was really just about fetishizing rape and beating up women. Like, there's movies where women have been in positions of power. Now, final girls, to me, there's two final girls. There's three final girls that I think of. Laurie Strode, who is awesome. Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, who final girl to me is Nancy. They luck into beating the big bad. They're not a hero. It's been retconned to where, like, yeah, look how far ahead of the curve we were in regards to. But the other final person is Ridley from Aliens, and she's not a final. She's a straight up hero. She's a badass. I think that the final girl, I think, is just something somewhere along the line. I think it's kind of built out of coincidence. I think we root for them because we're programmed to root for them. But I think that they're weak characters. I don't think they're definitely not John McClane. They happen to be. I just saw a movie last night, Initiation. It's based on 90s horror movie, Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's set in a college. 3 final girls in it. They very little character depth to them. Final girls win in the end, of course, but it's not because they outsmart the villain. They kind of accidentally beat the villain. Happens in every Friday the 13th movie. Nancy literally turns her back on Freddy Krueger and hopes that by saying, "I don't believe you," she hopes that that'll work. And it does. But I mean, a hero that does not make.
So I think that the modern quote unquote final girl, and I think maybe I get where Danny's coming from, is I think it's this. I think that the movie Scream instilled in us what a final girl is. Now, I mean, it was an archetype that movie 100%, that was like the driving factor. Oh, Sydney, she's she's the ire of the villain, and she's gonna win in the end. But why, right? I mean, like, I get what Danny's saying a little bit. It's like, yeah, she's kind of just like hapless and like getting all her friends killed because she's inept, so it's like, like she's not coming to any conclusions, like they literally tell her who they are at the end. It's not like she figured anything out really. So I guess I get where Danny's coming from, but I think that Scream kind of like changed that for modern cinema. So I think since then you've seen a lot of that, like that kind of, and isn't there a TV series called Final Girls?
There was a movie called Final Girls.
Movie, okay. And so it is. It's. I think it's become like its own thing, kind of like how 80 slashers are 80 slashers. Like the Sydney made a Final Girl what a Final Girl was. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I think they tried to change the narrative.
They did. They
tried to change the narrative, and they did. But the archetype is built from the 80s, and I think it's telling that Scream Queens from that era don't want to be called Scream Queens. I think of the final girl of that time. It's and I mean, some of those characters are. I mean, yeah, you like them. I mean, I still remember Nancy's name, right? So I mean, obviously, she left some sort of impression on me. Yeah. And it wasn't until much later in life that I thought that, like these characters. I mean, comparing Ripley to Nancy, and I keep using that example. There's no comparison. I mean, one, I would want to, defend me. The other, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near if I was in danger.
Right.
I mean, I think they try to change the final girl, and they've done an okay job at it. But I think, like, taking the question literally, Danny, like, why we root for them is, I think, because I mean we're supposed to. Like, they just write them in. They're hapless, like Blake said. They're underdog, and as humans, we kind of want the underdog. And in this country, especially, we love underdogs, and like that's just the way. Yeah, I mean, they're written very weak. They're very weak. They're very, very weak and unimpressive. So
I think that's what makes sometimes you take that shit, flip it right on its head. That makes a great. There's some great horror movies that do that. What's that? You're Next. You're Next does an incredible job of taking a character that you think is just going to be like chased around by villains and turning that around. High Tension. High Tension leads you down a path that you would believe is a final girl situation that is not. I think that the final girl is crucial to horror. It is 100% like part of what horror is, and you're not going to get rid of it. It's not going anywhere. But I think there's really good opportunities in there with it.
Yeah, and I agree with both parts here. I just felt like we haven't seen an evolution from it. Like, I mean, Blake pretty much nailed it right there. Where Scream evolved the characters and everything since then is either been serialized with like the final girls, or it's just a different version of it. But there's nothing that's been like evolved from it. And horror evolves in so many ways. I mean, obviously, like we bring up with like Midsummer, she's a character that is kind of plays like a final girl. She sees everybody get killed, but she's not herself a final girl. Is that a play on that, or is it more?
I think it's its own thing. I wouldn't even put her in that category because she's a strong, well-written, fully fleshed character. And final girls, I don't feel have that to them.
Have that.
I think there has been an evolution, but I think that's a good thing. I think final girls are a very. I think they say the first one it's either Psycho, but I think that might be wrong. It's Olivia Hussey in Black Christmas. I think she's considered the first final girl. Ever since then,
that's kind of a final girl situation, no?
Yeah, all the Friday the 13th are.
Yeah.
I think they have evolved from it, though. I think they've realized, like, it was a winning formula in the 80s and into the 90s when they kind of changed up the narrative a little. I think they moved away from it, and there has been an evolution because the rape revenge stuff that I was talking about earlier, that was, I mean, I think it's just like dumb, like Last House on the Left. Death Wish to an extent has that in it,
Mhm.
but the rape and revenge stuff that's coming out now, they deal away with the graphic rape part of it. They have men leering at women, and now the women are much stronger. It's not just okay, the movie's over, they cut off the dude's penis, and now it's like cool. The previous 45 minutes where they knocked her teeth out and 3 dudes anally raped her at the same time is okay now. Like they get away with they take all of that out, and she's actually a strong character who's like going toe to toe with them instead of getting her ass beat for an hour before she accidentally stabs someone in the eye. There is an evolution there. That's true. Like
Exactly.
an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Problem is, if we do an eye for an eye, everyone will be blind. But yeah.
Good point.
No, I think they are moving away from it. I think that it's a super important part of horror, and people do love it now. I mean, that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
And, it's an interesting part of but it's kind of like the back in the noir days, the femme fatale. That was eventually going to go away just with changing times. And final girls are as super, like, yeah, Blake's right, really, really important part of history, but of horror history. But I think they're a part of horror history that we can kind of leave behind. I think we've moved well beyond that, to be honest with you. And they're doing some interesting stuff in those genres before, where women were treated as victims. Like, they're doing really cool stuff. I think a few weeks back we were talking about where we're going to see the hot new filmmakers, and then I thought that, yeah, like in genre, like we're going to see a lot of cool stuff. And I think Lucky recently came out, a horror movie that came out where it's kind of like the final girl thing. It sounds like it's a woman who's being stalked every night. Every night a man shows up to her house, and every night she tries to defeat him, and she kind of does, but he's back every single night. And it uses these horror tropes and themes and sayings, but it's really a commentary on like domestic violence and how people don't believe survivors and stuff like that. It's kind of a final girl tale, but it's evolved. It's moved forward to something that relates more to people nowadays, and that hits home without being over the top and heavy-handed.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I still think there's a place for that cheesy shit. Sometimes I'm always gonna want a cheesy 80s final girl situation, even if she kills the Jason-esque villain by tripping over the glass pane and it slices his head off just because she's a bumbling kid.
And then we get a sequel.
I'm okay with that. I'm actually still okay with that.
Yeah, I feel we're gonna get both.
I love cheesy horror. I love cheesy horror as much. I love it, but that aspect of it, the final girl aspect, I mean, it never has pissed me off. It never has. I've just wondered, like, why is, of all things, of all amazing things in horror that horror has done, why is that so revered?
It sells.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
It sells.
I don't know if it's sold to me. I don't know if it's sold. I mean, name a final girl. I mean, honestly.
What do you mean, name a final girl? Like recently?
Well, recently they changed it, but I'm talking about like when it came about was in the late 70s, early 80s, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who's a famous final girl? I mean, we've talked Sydney from Scream.
Yeah.
Possibly Ripley, I guess, now. I mean, who was the final girl in Friday the 13th? The blonde chick.
The blonde chick, yeah. No, I mean...
I mean, that's unfortunately that's what horror's history is. That's the history of the final girl. Who was the final girl? The blonde one.
I just don't care. I just don't think that's a big deal.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, you're right too, because those types of movies, it's not about like the fleshed out characters or the deep storytelling. It's about having fun.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I just want to like check out and like not be too concerned about like the motives of like, I like really small stories, and those final girl stories are a lot of times really compartmentalized, very tight, and is it basic and easy? Yeah, maybe I like shit that's basic and easy.
No, there's something to be said for that too. Not every story has to be Midsummer. Not everything has to be as heavy as Spotlight. Like, we can actually just sit back. We can There is something to be said for just sitting back and just turning off your brain and Bill and Teddy a movie.
Veronica, check out Veronica at your nearest Shudder streaming service.
Oh yeah, Veronica. Have you seen it yet?
Yes.
So
It is.
so here's the question.
Else.
Here's
Oh
the
my
question: Veronica or Wrestle Massacre?
Ooh, honestly, very tight race. Very tight race. You know what? I might take Veronica. I think Veronica was kind of awesome in a way.
Veronica. I mean, we won't get too much into there, but Veronica within 45 seconds. I mean, you're already like, this is amazing. Takes off her shirt, and from that point on, you're engaged.
Can we just say it?
I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I really don't.
No, you just need a topless woman. That's all you need.
Something like that, yeah. Or maybe she's seeing you. I don't know. So, yeah, the final girl definitely part of it for us. Keep in mind, if you listen to the end of the show, we have an awesome prize that we're giving away. But if you stay on to the end, or maybe we'll make you wait that long, but we'll let you know what we're giving away. No joke, it's a really cool prize, and we'll let you know how you can do it. So this week, 31 Days of Halloween, well, this month, 31 Days of Halloween, we're doing sci-fi horror. Now, Blake, I believe that's your favorite genre.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that unfortunately, you weren't here last. So convince Danny, myself, and everyone who's listening, why is sci-fi horror the best?
And watching.
Why is it the best? I mean, okay. So like the best way I can describe it is like when you go to your favorite Mexican food restaurant and you like sit down and you're like, man, I want some enchiladas. I want a chile relleno. I really like the tacos. I can't really decide. You know what? I'm going to get that combination plate. That's what I'm going to get. Sci-fi horror brings so many awesome classic horror tropes together on one plate that is too hot to touch when they've set it down on your table. And I think that's why it's the best genre. It gives you just a little bit of everything in so many different ways. It's very versatile.
So what was that? And Danny, this includes you too. What was your guys' intro to sci-fi horror? I imagine you saw either sci-fi or horror first, and then you saw the other, and then somewhere you saw them both in one place. Like, what was your intro to sci-fi horror, and how did it make you feel?
Go ahead, Danny.
So my dad made me watch The Exorcist as a kid. So that was my first introduction to horror. Yeah. But you know what? Like sci-fi horror, I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, Jurassic Park was probably one that I think of, which I was really excited for.
Interesting take.
Yeah, but like Aliens is. I don't think I saw Aliens like right away. Like I think I saw Jurassic Park, and my dad's like, "Hey, if you like big scary things, here's this," and he sat me down to watch, and I think that's the way it worked.
Sure. Okay. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Alien. So Alien is to me the quintessential like sci-fi horror movie. I mean, it's
absolutely that's the eternal question, right?
Yeah.
Is it science fiction? Is it horror? No one can hear you scream in space.
It's magnificently both. It is everything that a horror movie should be. It's everything that a good sci-fi movie is. And it's truly scary, you know. So I think sci-fi horror in sci-fi horror, there's some real room to like stretch your legs and creativity. And I mean, just from creature design, just that it's a stalk and prey movie. Like, it's just so great.
It's awesome. For me, it's similar to you, Blake. First one I saw was Aliens. And and it scared the hell out of me because I didn't understand it because I had seen the Star Wars trilogy. I had seen Empire, Return of the Jedi before. I knew what sci-fi was. I knew that Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street was horror. So and to see this space movie with monsters in it, like it wasn't cool. Like it freaked me out. Not that I didn't enjoy it. Like I didn't understand it. Like it didn't seem like I thought someone messed up. It seemed like a mistake to me. Like how can you have something scary and something as cool in space? Oh, like
It's the peanut butter and chocolate. It's the peanut butter and chocolate, and it works so well. Also, for the longest time, for me, I thought it was just aliens. I never thought there was an alien, like
A singular.
alien, yeah, singular, or an Aliens 3 or anything like that. I was like, well, okay, fine. You're making sequels off of this Aliens, but no, like yeah, it's this thing that puts you at a very tense thing, and commercials never helped it out.
So, what do you, and Blake, you've talked about what you loved about sci-fi horror, and I've talked about how I kind of wasn't like, not that I didn't like it, I didn't get it when I was a kid. So, generally, what do you think is the appeal of sci-fi horror? Because there's always sci-fi horror coming out. I mean, from Cloverfield to the Invisible Woman. That's a antiviral.
Man, absolutely.
I mean, Possessor is like amazing movie, and it's been spoken of very highly. But there's always something new coming out in sci-fi horror, always. So, what do you guys think is the general appeal of it?
Damn, I think you just said it. I think that there's always a way to give you something fresh. Like if you're a fan of that genre, like I always have been, it's not hard to like dig around a little bit, find something new to watch. I think that's the general appeal. I mean, and like there's some classics in the genre, which I think instilled it into people to like kind of crave new stuff all the time. So the ability to switch and be fresh, I think is the general appeal to it. Yeah.
I think that sci-fi horror, more so than either science fiction or horror alone, I think they're willing to take bigger risks. I think Cube is a really good example of a sci-fi horror movie that's pretty crazy in the idea of not putting a horror movie in a secluded spot. That's kind of normal, but it's in this dystopia. But it really puts you in this one area it's scary without having the typical jump scares, and there's no big bad or anything like that. I think that's something that people. We talked about The Platform recently. That's a sci-fi horror. As I just mentioned, Possessor. Like they try these wacky things that you don't see just in sci-fi or just in horror. I think they're willing to you can go out there and do whatever you want. And I mean, Color Out of Space, which isn't a new story, but I mean, they just do all these crazy things with it, and I think people appreciate that.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. It's the whole, like, you have the whole vast of ideas that you could put into this. Like, it doesn't have to be a monster itself. It could just be you could be in.
It could be an idea.
An idea, exactly. Yeah. What's the movie that we saw for the YouTube show on Amazon? That. You didn't have to see what it was. It was just all based on the idea, like in a way, introducing like an alien into like a sci-fi horror. Like it doesn't need to be there. Like it just maybe even like you mention it. You see like a shadow, like the lighthouse, something like similar to that. Like it just works so well in a lot of the sci-fi where anything could be the monster itself, and I really do it, and that's what makes sci-fi horror so good.
So, Danny, you bring up I assume you're talking about The Vast of Night.
Yes, I couldn't remember the name of the name of the movie.
Okay, so that's a very interesting pick for sci-fi horror. Like I wouldn't consider it sci-fi horror, but when I think about it, it does make sense. So, where do you guys draw the line between sci-fi horror and sci-fi horror? I mean, Jason X. Is that sci-fi horror? I mean,
yes.
It's a Friday the 13th. It's a Friday the 13th movie in space. So yeah, Leprechaun in space. I mean,
sci-fi horror, right?
Sci-fi, yeah.
So where do you draw the line? Like, I think the Vast of Night is cutting it very close. Like, I totally can see why you would say that, but I think I can also see where someone would be like, no, that's just science fiction. That's just a tense science fiction story. So where do you draw the line?
I think it is tension. I really do think so. Like sci-fi blurs a lot of different lines, and not just in horror, but anything that is, I guess, unexplained and mysterious could already go towards a horror route, especially because we don't know what's, I guess, out there. There's a lot of like blackness and void.
The truth is out there. Dan.
The truth is out there, actually, and that's scary, and that is scary itself.
Yeah.
but I think that's what it is. It's just like I think it's what you make it in that horror.
You know what? That's exactly right. I think you're right. So I don't think there is a line. I think that line constantly shifts and moves. And to some people, some things might be horror. Some they might just feel like it's sci-fi. I don't know. I think that gets back to the beauty of it. Like there's just this wonderful sauce all over all this stuff that just, it just makes everything palatable. And so sometimes people are horror fans that really like certain sci-fi movies that don't like others. Like, would you consider like The Martian, for instance? Like that's just pure sci-fi to me. Like, is there some horrific stuff to me that is horror driven in a way? Yeah, absolutely. Tense out through the whole thing, but it's not horror. That's not horror to me. That's true sci-fi. And there has to be. I think there's a shifting line, but there should be just the air of like super unknown dread. Like, I mean, The Thing, that's quintessential, right? But the thing that makes The Thing scary is that it's the unknown. It's what Danny said. It's that I can't trust the person next to me. It's not so much that it's a big scary monster, which it is sometimes, but it's the fact that I can't trust somebody. That's what makes it. That's what adds the horror.
I think that and you're right. It's constantly, and I know, like a cynic would say, they're moving goalposts, but I would say that it's really hard to say that where you draw the line between sci-fi and horror, or what's sci-fi horror. But for me, it would be like a genuine scare, and everyone defines that differently. So that goes to that moving. So yeah, The Thing, obviously sci-fi horror. Vast of Night, I'd have to really think about it. The Martian, it has those elements, but it's never scary.
No,
but it's it's, and you ask someone else to give those same three movies, and they'll tell you something entirely different.
Right.
So, what do you guys think are some underrated movies in the genre? I think it's because it has horrible sequels, and I think it's because of Ashton Kutcher. But I like The First Butterfly Effect.
I love that movie. I fucking love that movie.
No one ever talks about it for good reason, I guess. But I enjoy it. Stupid ending, very stupid ending. And I actually believe it doesn't make any sense either if you think too hard about it. But if you don't think about it, it's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good pick. I wouldn't have thought of that. I hadn't thought about that movie in a very long time. Yeah, I would say, and I guess it's kind of got a cult following. I'd say Pitch Black. Like Pitch Black is a really great pure sci-fi, 100% horror with monsters. Like that checks all the boxes, and it does it in such a fun, old school way. Yeah, I think Pitch Black's an underrated one.
Upgrade?
Superhero-esque
movie.
You win.
AI in here.
Upgrade's another one too. Upgrade totally tricked me because the trailers look so stupid, and then I watched it. I absolutely loved it. But is that horror also? Like that's one of those two where I can see it. But
that's body horror, man.
It's it
has some sick body horror in it. That's right. I totally forgot about that because the goofy trailers stick to my. So that's a good one. Upgrade, very good one, recent one. So which ones do you guys think are overrated?
Ooh. I have one I hate to say, actually. Sorry, Dan. Okay.
No, you're fine. No, go.
Yes, Annihilation. We all agree.
No, Ricky brought it up in chat. I'm not even going to talk about it.
Wait.
Unless you guys want to. No, I would say one that, thank God. So it's got another kind of cult following. People talk about it as being like this really great sci-fi horror movie all the time. I loved it when it came out. I've watched it since. It is not great. Event Horizon is, I think, an overrated. I'm not saying I don't like it, guys. I'm not saying
I don't. I don't remember it. I don't remember it that much.
Pick. I actually saw it at the beginning of this year.
Wow. Okay.
And I saw it and I was like, you know what? I thought it's as good as I remember, if not better. No, and I don't disagree with you though. Like that's because I've heard a lot of people. Well, I know a lot of people just don't like it at all.
It gets mentioned like top 5, oh, it is one of the best, and I'm like,
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I definitely would not say that. Yeah.
No. Definitely fun for a movie marathon, but
I think I need to see that movie.
Yeah,
Again.
that's a
Oh, you
great way to
definitely
put
need.
it. Like,
You definitely need to see.
oh, Event Horizon. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say it's top 5 watch, but it's a must watch if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it's definitely worth the view. I would say that, and this, I think we all talked about this recently, and it seems like it got a lot of positive reviews. And when I saw it, I was on it. But Sputnik just came out. It's
Okay.
Alien, but from Russia, basically,
Yeah.
and it's set in like 1980, and it has some cool themes regarding the Cold War and things like that. But people kind of went gaga over it, from what I can see, with everything from creature design to the story. And I never really thought it was that good. It was perfectly acceptable crap.
It was perfectly okay. Yeah. I thought it was too long.
It was.
I thought it was a little too long. I thought they drug that out just a tad bit too much. And then they tried to pluck your heartstrings at the end, and it just was like, get out of here.
Yeah, they do that Chosen One story at the end. And yeah. What about you? Did you say which one you thought was overrated, Danny?
No, I haven't, and I don't know if it's actually a horror film. Sunshine, Danny Boyle's Sunshine.
Danny Boyle's Sunshine, yeah.
Ooh.
Wow,
Danny,
you're hitting
overrated.
people off.
You're gonna piss people off.
I think it's
You're hitting
overrated.
the ones that make people think too. That's an interesting pick. That's an interesting pick.
You know, like through and through, like everybody loved this movie, and I just didn't see a point. I thought it was long, boring, and it wasn't my cup of sci-fi, I guess, horror. There's tension in it, but I still don't. I don't like this movie. I think it's highly overrated.
I really like Sunshine.
I do also. That's a good one too.
So that's a good controversial pick, Danny. I like it.
I like it a lot too.
I can see actually why you wouldn't like it in a way.
I'd say the third act, I can see why it might lose people. Like I can see that. I can definitely see that.
I think the end, can be polarizing for sure.
I've only seen it the one time. Yeah, I've only seen it the one time. I never went back to revisit this movie, and I still don't feel like I want to revisit. It was like we were talking about it. I think in one of the movie group texts, and I was like, yeah, no. I checked out. I think I put the thing on mute, and I was like, I'm gonna do some fun, cool stuff now. I'm gonna go skateboard
in the moonlight. Take that, Danny Boyle.
Yesterday.
So. Well, we've thrown out a lot of movies here, so we'll kind of end it on what do you guys think absolutely someone should watch in sci-fi horror, just to get, whether it is just to get an idea, intro, must watch. What do you guys think? I'll go with Slither.
Oh, I fucking love that movie.
Slither's great.
That's a good...
easily funny, easily accessible. It's short, like it's gruesome. It's very gory, but I don't think it. I mean, it's not something I would watch with my, 5-year-old nephew. But it's cool. It's cool. Like I think it's a great, and I think it's a doorway. It's a gateway. It's the marijuana of sci-fi horror.
It's that good. So I'm gonna bring up one of my personal favorites, and something that we haven't really talked about. I think the Mad Scientist is a wonderful. Sci-fi horror trope that we don't see enough of. I'm gonna go Reanimator. You absolutely have to see Reanimator. Not only is it just a really great horror film and campy in 80s through and through, it is 100% mad scientist craziness. And if you're, Invisible Man, if you like any of that mad scientist stuff, you gotta watch Reanimator.
Yeah, that's such a fucking great movie.
Funny as hell. Barbara Crampton is great in it. It's great. Amazing stuff.
I'm gonna go fucking crazy here. I'm just, if you want a cool introduction again to mad scientists and everything like this, Little Shop of Horrors. If you want a musical, you want to have fun, there you go.
See, now you talk about me writing articles. You read the article that I wrote yesterday. That I specifically mentioned Little Shop of Horrors. As movies family-friendly movies you should watch on Halloween that no one ever talks about, I put Little Shop of Horrors down.
That's
the Rick Moranis one.
Yeah,
Sing
yeah.
along. Sing along.
I was watching the tidbit on it on Twitter yesterday, and I was like, "This is such a great movie."
Yeah.
It is.
Which is also if you want something family friendly.
Steve Martin, man. Son of a-
Yeah, I'm a mean green mother from outer space, and I'm bad. Bad. So throughout the show, I've been talking about a giveaway. So time travel stories. You guys like time travel stories, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we are giving away, totally free, the Back to the Future Ultimate Trilogy. So that is all 3 movies, Blu-ray, and a bonus disc with interviews with lots of stuff, like Ben Stiller's on it, and Kara Sedgwick is in it, and like talking about the influence that this movie had on them.
Dang.
All you need to do, Blake, you have a picture of it. Show it.
What?
I'm just joking.
Show a
All we
picture of
ask-
what? You just said it.
the hoverboard. So all you need to do is not for every comment, or else Ricky would have like 1 million entries into this. But all you need to do is comment on this video if you like, and if you subscribe, each thing that you do will be one entry into this giveaway. If you're listening to our podcast and you're not watching us live, this goes for you also. If you subscribe and you comment on our podcast, then you'll be entered into a drawing for the Back to the Future Ultimate Trilogy, all 3 movies and a bonus disc. For those who have seen Back to the Future, it's amazing. It's generation defining is the only way I would just. For those who haven't seen it, you've heard of it. There's no way in hell.
Let me put it this way: if you haven't seen it by now, you don't deserve to win this contest. Get out of here.
I mean, you've seen it. Maybe you've seen it on Rick and Morty or on Saturday Night Live or something.
Yeah,
You've seen it
yeah.
in some fashion or form. You've seen Back to the Future, but it's free Ultimate Trilogy. It's coming October the 20th. But if you enter our giveaway right now, we'll get it out to you. So leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Every week you can catch us on here. You can go to AIPTcomics.com where you can catch all our other podcasts. We also have 31 Days of Halloween, so there's a lot of articles going up. We're on YouTube, not just right now, but we also have the quick and dirty version, and we have Adventures in Movies Looks At ... where we talk about just random stuff. But check us out, and thanks for joining us tonight.
And while you're checking us out, you can also follow us Adventures in Movies over on Twitter. You can follow us at AIPT Movies, and you can follow us individually. You can find Nathaniel, or Grave Digging Pat, as I like to call him, on Instagram at Nathan Portace. You can find me, the ever so late Danny, on Twitter and Instagram at default_player. I'm doing Inktober as well over there. And you can find Blake Brain Dead over at Twitter at Right Horror.
Thank you, Danny. Okay, so next week, let me ask you guys a question. What do Aerosmith, Bernie Sanders have in common with horror? I don't know. Tune in next week to find out, everybody.
Well, they both did sing Dream On, right?
He looks like a lady.
You can catch us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You go to Amazon Music, or you can just go to the website to find our podcast. But wherever you listen to us, tell a friend, and also give us a rating. And that is our cue. We will talk to you next week.
It's alive.
Adios, everybody.
Good night, kitty.